everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Christine Naney. I'm a physical therapist and director of rehab for outpatient and home health. And I am bringing you two very smart women today to help you with any fall prevention. We have Julie Mashuda, who is a physical therapist here for outpatients. And Margie Meinart is an outpatient physical therapist or occupational therapist. And she also works with VNA at times. So I hope you have a lot to learn from both these women today. Thank you.
Sorry. No, it's okay. All right. Julie's going to get started. She's going to talk a little bit about fall prevention. I'm going to talk a little bit after. We have another little bit of information on home safety and things that you can do to prevent falls. And then at the end, we're going to offer that you can come up and you can be screened to see on different tests that we have that might show areas of improvement or needs or risk for falls. I also have a handout that you can take home with some of the suggestions that we're going over here, all kind of listed out too, so you can kind of refer to them later as well. But Julie's going to start with fall prevention.
Well, good afternoon. It's nice to see everybody. We'll keep this pretty informal, so please, if you have any questions as we're going along, don't hesitate. Be happy to answer anything along the way that you may have. Just to kind of share a preface a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the risks for falls. I'm going to share with you some of the statistics with that, just to give you an idea of how many people do typically fall, especially in older adults, when we start looking at that 65 and above range, and then things that you can do to help prevent or minimize your risk for falls. So just to start, does anybody know where most falls actually do occur?
Bathroom.
Good. Yes.
80%.
Most falls occur in the home, and out of those falls, most of them do actually happen in the bathroom. So, and you can probably figure out why that is, right? You may be wet coming in or out of the tub or shower. The floor may get wet coming in and out of the tub or the shower. So it's a very high risk area for falls. Okay, so just to kind of share, like I said, we do some of these statistics just more for information for you. This is in no way meant to sort of scare you. It's just to kind of heighten your awareness that as we age, we are all at an increased risk for falls. So roughly 1 in 3 patients over or people over the age of 65 will fall, and 1 in 2 over 80 are at risk for falls. So that's a pretty high number when you think about it. And age is something that we don't have any control over, right? So it makes sense to keep that in mind, but think about what can we do to help minimize that risk for falls. Women are typically more likely than men to fall. However, the severity of those falls seem to be greater in men in the sense that, unfortunately, the mortality rate is higher in men.
What's the reason for that?
A lot of it's attributed to a lot of the falls for the men are outside the home, maybe doing yard work, housework, things like that. So a lot of that was shown that when they fell, what they were doing was a little bit more of a risk for the injury.
Okay. And with that, I think too comes the availability of help when you fall. Sometimes if you're outside, you don't have somebody right around with you, and somebody may not see you. So those are just things to keep in mind. Oh. No. Not at all.
Can everyone see it okay too?
Can everybody hear me now? No?
Yeah.
Hold on. Is there a button on this one? I don't see it.
I think you're okay. I think
Is that?
he's getting things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
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 It's back there.
He'll tell you. He'll be like. Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Can you turn it? Turn off, Brian.
Sorry, this is like you have to scroll through 20 different things. actually up all the way. Whoops. Try that.
Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Testing 1 2. Okay, here. We'll try Julie's.
I feel like I'm doing a Verizon commercial, but can you hear me now?
You have to hold it close to your mouth.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just kind of looking again, you know, falls is one of the leading reasons for hospital admission for older adults. About 25% of hospital admissions in the ER are due to falls. And you may be surprised by what the cost of care is for those falls as well. It's over $8,000 per fall. So if you think about that, you're going into the emergency room, they're likely taking x-rays, they're likely doing a CT scan of your head or what have you, plus any aftercare that you may need from that if you did break anything, need surgery, what have you, or therapy. So again, the reason is to let's prevent that so that nobody has to go through those channels. Again, if you fall, your risk for injury is obviously greater. Some injuries are more serious than others. Some of the most common being hip fractures and wrist fractures. You're either reaching out to catch yourself and you end up breaking your arm in the process, or you fall and land on your hip, very easy to fracture. The other big risk is you got to worry about, did I hit my head when I fell? Do I now have a head injury or a bleed? And those are all things that we just want to avoid. If you're laying down for any period of time, all it takes is as short as a half an hour before your muscles and your cells start to break down, putting you at risk for wounds and things like that, laying on over those bony prominences for any prolonged period of time. Again, we talked about if you fall and there's nobody around to help you, now how long are you down, right? When you're without fluids, you run the risk of dehydration. You're also running the risk, heaven forbid it's outside and it's cold. Now you're looking at potential things like hypothermia, you're laying there, you're not up and moving, pneumonia, all these things that we want to avoid, secondary complications. And as we did mention, of course, if you do hit your head, then that's an extra added risk. Okay, so what causes falls? What are things that put you at risk to fall that we could potentially help you prevent? Balance is a big one. Your balance is controlled by 3 systems. One is your vision. If you think about it, if you're standing up and you close your eyes, it's a lot more difficult to keep your balance then than if your eyes are open. The other one is the vestibular system, which is your inner ear. So there's canals in your inner ear. There's crystals that should be settled. If they're not, you may start to feel what they call vertigo or like the room is spinning. Those are things that can all be treated to help improve your balance. And the last one is proprioception. And basically that means, can you tell where your hands and feet are in space, right? If you step on the floor, can you feel that with your foot? Do you know that you're on a solid surface, or can you not tell that? And if you can't tell that, that would put you at increased risk for falls. So things like neuropathy are a concern, and sometimes we need to compensate for one system with another, meaning if you cannot feel where your foot is when you put it on the ground, you may have to use your vision to look down and make sure it's on a solid surface. Okay, other things that can impact your balance: weak muscles, a lack of flexibility. Again, we talked about the vestibular system and the inner ear, and just a sedentary lifestyle. If you're not active and you're just sitting around, right, you're more prone to get weaker just by a lack of activity. And these are all things that, you can certainly choose to modify, adapt, or improve for the better in your life. Sometimes we get lucky enough that if we do fall, we're not injured, but it may also make us really fearful of falling again. And then that leads to a trickle-down effect, right? If you're afraid of falling, then you quit doing things, which leads to that inactivity, the muscle weakness, so on and so forth. So just the fear of falling itself can increase your risk for falls. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. So it's going to be really nice as we move through this presentation, and Margie's going to share some of the things that you can do to help minimize your fear and minimize your risk. There are some things within our control that we can do to help prevent falls. There are some things that are outside of our control. For example, we can't control the medical conditions necessarily that we have, right? We can't control if we have MS or if we have arthritis. These are things that just happen to us. But as we have those things, we are at increased risk for falls. Things like strokes, Parkinson's disease, brain injuries, spinal cords. All of these things can affect your balance. Diabetes, sometimes you don't think of that with your balance, but that can cause you to have the neuropathy in your hands and feet. Okay? And some of the other things outside of our control, increased age. We know our risk for falls increases as we age, but we can't change that. Okay? Something to be aware of, orthostatic hypotension. Sometimes when you change positions from laying to sitting or sitting to standing, you may feel lightheaded or dizzy. That could be related to a drop in your blood pressure. So if you do have that, you just want to think about, let me pause for a minute before I take my next movement, right? If I'm getting up in the morning and I sit on the side of the bed, it's a good idea to just sit for a couple of minutes. Make sure you've got your bearings, okay? And then go ahead and stand up. Stand for a minute or two in front of your bed. Make sure you have your bearings. As long as you feel okay, then go ahead and proceed to walk to, whatever you need to do, the restroom, get your cup of coffee, and proceed with your day. Again, just some other additional risk factors that can lead to falls. We've talked about some balance and coordination. Mobility is important. It's important that you're using the appropriate assistive device if you need one. I know it's really easy to say, oh, I'm in my house, I don't need that. And then somebody goes and tries to go from room to room, and unfortunately, that can be where that accident can happen. So if you do need to use an assistive device, please make sure that you're doing so. If you need help with getting that device set up or picking the right one, we can certainly help you with that. Making sure you have the right footwear, something with some tread on it to keep you from slipping. And again, I know sometimes we're in a hurry, especially incontinence can sometimes lead to falls as well. So you just want to make sure you're leaving yourself enough time to get from A to B. So where does therapy come into play with this? We can certainly help with things like providing education. We can certainly help with developing things like exercise programs to help you build up your strength, to minimize your risk for falls. Same thing with balance. A lot of the balance things, I will tell my patients, I'm gonna find what makes you uncomfortable, what makes you unbalanced, and then that's what we're gonna focus on and do, because the way you retrain your balance system is to do what throws you off. Through repetition, then your body starts to accommodate for that. And then just some of the benefits of, exercising regularly. Obviously, that improves your strength, depending what kind of exercise you're doing. Tai Chi, yoga, those types of things can help with your balance. We do have some of those classes that are offered here in the fitness center as well. It's good to help do some exercises where you're increasing your weight bearing. As we age, our bones tend to get weaker and more brittle. Things like osteoporosis, but by doing some weight-bearing type exercises, we can help improve the strength and keep the strength that we have in those bones. In general is good nutrition. You want to make sure that you're eating your fruits, your vegetables, your proteins, because without good nutrition, you're not going to have the energy to participate in the exercise or the activities that you want to do. We talked a little bit about, do you use a walker? Do you use a cane? Is that set up appropriately for you? Are you using one device and you're concerned it's not giving you enough support? Are you interested in a different device? Those are things that, if you have questions about, I would certainly say talk with your doctor. You can certainly come and see us, we would be happy to help you with those types of things. Medications can also put us at an increased risk for falls, especially if you're on multiple medications, 3 or 4. They can cause you to feel differently than you normally would without medications. They all have their purpose, but we also have to recognize that there's risks with those medications as well. And again, that's something that I would recommend you consult your physician on. Making sure that you have good eyewear. If you need glasses, that you're wearing them. You want to see any obstacles that are in your way that you may potentially trip over. If it's the middle of the night and you're getting up, please make sure that you turn on a light. I speak from experience with that. Turn on your lights if you get up in the middle of the night. It's not worth the risk. We talked a little bit already about the orthostatic hypotension, and if you're changing your position from laying to sitting and sitting to standing, make sure you pause for a minute or two. Make sure you're not lightheaded or dizzy. And if you are, just make sure you sit back down and take that moment to regroup. And again, making sure that you have appropriate footwear. Make sure that you're not, your pants aren't so long that you're tripping over them. You don't need to create hazards for yourself. Color contrast is a great way to be able to see obstacles, where you're going, and the things you're looking for. Stairs is a prime example with that. You'll notice sometimes when you go out in stairwells, they'll have like a reflective tape, particularly on the edge of each step, and that is the purpose for that. Make sure you do have an appropriate means to reach out for help if you need it. A lot of us do have cell phones. I tell people all the time, just keep your cell phone in your pocket, right? That way it doesn't matter where you are. If something happens and you fall, you can reach out, hopefully, and grab that phone and call, whether it's a loved one or it's 911 that you need, whatever that assistance is. It's also nice here, you have the alarm buttons that you wear. If you need those, press that. We're here to help. And this just gives some additional information on the lighting, which I think Margie's going to cover in more detail, so I'm just going to kind of skip past over this. Some common obstacles in the home that you could avoid. Things like throw rugs, we definitely do not recommend. Those are things that we would want you to pick up. It's not worth the risk. Whether you use a walker or not, you can catch your toe on the end of it, you can catch the walker on the end of it, it rolls up, and the next thing you know, you find yourself tripping. Okay, and you should absolutely notify your physician if you do fall. All right, any questions?
Can you bring up your email to pull up mine?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Just watch, it might show up there too. Okay. It's up there. Okay. You got all the information about falls and how things can contribute to that and make you more at risk, and some things that you can do to make yourself a little safer. We're going to really talk about the home and how we can make the home a little safer. There's, let me get on here.
Can you hold the mic closer?
I will. First time with a microphone. I'm just not one of those karaoke or any of that. So first time with this. But all right, so we're going to talk about, she talked a little bit about steps and stairs. You want to make sure there's enough lighting. Either overhead, or some people run strips up, or little things that can have on the side of the wall. There's so many variety now of, you don't even have to plug them in anymore. They're battery operated, they're motion detector. So there's a lot of different things available right now, making them so that the top and the bottom, those last ones, to make sure that you can really see where they are. Another thing is, make sure all the carpeting is firmly attached. Sometimes if that's worn or has places that it can trip you up, you want to make sure that that's taken care of. Some of the things might have rubber treads that you can put down. Just make sure anything that you do have on there is secured well so that you're not tripping on it. Install handrails. So if you don't have handrails, most people have handrails. They might be on one side. Maybe you need them on both sides, coming down depending on what it is. But any way that you can have that stability all the way up from the bottom and all the way up to the top is going to help you to give you that support. Even if you're not using it and needing it to go up, if you do lose your balance, it's going to give you something to hold as well. Oh, it's back up. Sorry. Remove all objects. A lot of people will store things. I'm going to take that up later. I'll just set it here on the side. Remove all objects from your stairs. And then rubber tread for the steps. I don't think any of you have to worry about this. So we'll skip that one. But on the other end, if you see it hasn't been done, maybe not go in there until it is done for you to remove all the ice and snow from any walkway. In the bedroom, really important to have things close to you in bed. Placing a lamp and a telephone near your bed so that they're easy for reach. Installing night lights, and we were talking a little bit about that. They have where even on the campus here, we can put in motion detector lights into your bathroom. There's even things you can buy on Amazon that you can ask your Amazon Echo or things like that to turn them on for you. We can divert your lighting into switches that instead of going over to a lamp and trying to go underneath it, we can make it into something that's closer to you and you just hit a button. There's so many things that are available for making your area much easier to be lit without having to put yourself at risk in a position for falls. Arranging your clothes so that you don't have to climb on things to get into your closet or reach for things. So having things, and if you can't, sometimes with OT will come in, if you can't do those, using things like reachers or dressing sticks or reorganizing your closet so that you can reach things and kind of take away. Anything that we want to do is take away the risk of the fall. So having things closer to you is going to make that better for you. Using the long-handled shoe horn if you have trouble putting on your shoes. Why is this important? Proper footwear. If you are no longer wearing shoes or socks or something because it's hard to put them on, well, we need to look at a way that you can get them on so that you have that proper footing, that footwear on, so that you have more traction and you're less likely to fall. Keep your pathway to your bed to your bathroom clear, especially in the middle of the night. You get up out of bed, you have that urgency to get to the toilet, and if something's in your way and you forget that's there, that's another tripping hazard. Make sure your bed is appropriate height to allow safe transfers. We work a lot of different ways. I've gone from hospital beds that have the power button that lowers you down when you want to sit down and get further back in the seat of or into the bed, and then when you want to get out, it raises back up. The head in the bed can be also a mechanical to help with that. Sometimes removing box springs, or they have smaller box springs now. Instead of the 9-inch, we can go down to 4-inch, so it saves you a little bit of height there too, to make it easier to either get in and get back. Like some people need it to be higher to stand up. Well, some people, if it's so high, they can't properly get back on it, and then you're sliding at the edge and trying to fight upwards. So it really depends on your height and your needs and what would make sense to reduce that sliding off the edge. There are bed enablers, things, they are regulated in most of the areas, not all, but they recommend that it's the inside width of them to be less than 6 inches to minimize risk of something getting caught in the middle of the night. So these things are, you can put them on the side of your bed, and they help you to roll over, to pull yourself up, or to kind of have that stability when you're getting into bed. So there's a lot of things like that that are available too to help with. A lot of times people slide on the edge of the bed, on the comforter, on the sheets, especially you sit down to put on your socks or shoes or things like that. I think we went too fast. Keep a phone near the bed, and that's, like Julie was even saying, just keeping that phone with you no matter where you are, but even when you're in bed. If something were to happen, you could call somebody. Here we have the alarm buttons, which are even more helpful. Keep a walker, cane near your bed, easy reach. If that's something you use, keep it with you. Don't push it away. And then just walk over to the bed. Have it there so in the middle of the night when you are just trying to wake up and get going again, you have that stability. Don't allow blankets. We've had people trip on a long comforter over the side of the bed, so make sure it's the proper height, or I should say width, so that it's not dragging on the floor to give you something to trip over. Storing dishes, cooking equipment, easy reach. So we want to limit climbing up on little mini ladders or step stools or chairs or anything like that to get things. We want them down where your feet are on the floor and you're able to reach them. Move cabinets and keep things on lower shelves, so all the same things, keeping them in your reach, just different ways. They have drawers now that pull out so that you can put things in and have a little bit easier access to. In the kitchen, spills, a big cause of falls. So in addition to the bathroom and slipping on slippery surfaces, wet surfaces, or just tripping because you're in a hurry to get to the bathroom, in the kitchen, spills is probably the second largest area for falls. Just because if you spill something and then walk over it, you have an increased risk for falling. So keeping things, if you're cooking, keeping the handles away from so that you don't turn and catch them and spin things. So just being mindful of where those are so that you don't hit into them. Avoid wearing garments with long, loose sleeves when cooking. So we don't want things draping into where you're cooking. Keep pot holders near the stove. And these are not really related to falls much, but just nice little things for home safety. Disconnect small appliances when you're not using them, it's just a safety. And keeping your counters clean and removing clutter, fire safety, those types of things. You don't want anything near those surfaces so that it reduces that risk. This is another thing, fairly simple. You don't want to turn around and bump into something and cause you to lose your balance, so keeping things closed. So when you're done in a drawer or something, just close it back up. Some of these are pretty simple things, but you don't realize how many risks it could put you into having a fall. So it's just being mindful of that. And then we were talking about, hopefully you don't have to use a step stool. So we're just going to pass on this one. Call somebody if you can't reach it. Wipe up grease or spills. Another fall. Store hazard. We're good with that one. Another hope safety. Using non-slip mats around the sink to soap up, so if you do have a spill, it's not going to be. Now, this is a controversial kind of thing. We don't want a lot of throw rugs. We don't want things that are going to trip you up. But there are some circumstances that you want to use something to not have a floor that's wet, so that it's more slippery. So you need to really look at something that has a really good backing, that it's not going to move. There's also two-sided tape that tapes down the edges so that it doesn't move on you. So really going about finding something that's more safe than just a throw rug that can move around on you, because that could trip you up. And we were talking about the double-sided tape. Keeping all electrical cords and things out of your way so you don't trip on them. Arranging your furniture so that you have pathways. That would help as well. Do not sit on a chair or sofa that's too low. So this is in the living area. Looking at, if you're having trouble with that, there's certain things you can do. We have cushions that raise you up if you need to be raising the height to make it easier to stand. 2 armchairs are going to give you that support to push off from instead of one without. So if you're having things like that, we can look at modifications. Move low-lying objects such as coffee tables. So a lot of is, if you don't need it, I would recommend not having it. To move around those pieces of furniture I've had people where they've fallen trying to scoot around the coffee table to enter and sit on the couch. If you have that full path, especially if you're using a walker or some kind of device, you want that turning space. So you just don't come into a little linear line. You want that turning space so that you can have enough room to turn around and then sit down with your walker still with you. So those types of coffee tables can restrict that. Clear the clutter off the floor, including your shoes and slippers. So that's any tripping hazards, we want to eliminate those. Non-slip rubber mat or strips on the floor of the shower or tub. We have these through maintenance that we can get. If there's an area, a lot of them have like the surface already is kind of graded and has some grip to it. But if you're finding that you're feeling slippery, those are things that we can have added. Very important. So when you're in the shower, needing grab bars near these surfaces. So near the toilet, within your reach, at the height that you need it in the places. Everybody, it's different as to where you live and how the room is set up. But having that, and if you find yourself using a towel rack to pull up, to help you get up, or the sink next to you to push up, call us. Because we'll help you to find something that's secured in and made for that and won't pull off. And over time, outreaching with your arm to push up is going to cause you probably pain. I've had where over time pushing and pushing in this direction that it can do that too. So we can look at more appropriate grab bars or devices over the toilet with 2 arms. There's so many varieties now. In the time that I've been working, it's amazing how many options there are now to modify the home to make it easier to get up and down from things and safer. Using stools, there's anything from little stools to devices that will there's a power one that'll allow you to sit in, side transfer, sit down, and it'll lower you into the tubs if you want to take a bath. There's one, and it'll lift you back up and you just step out. There's tub benches that have sliding that go in and out on the seat and they swivel so that make transfers easier instead of having to side transfer. There's a lot of different things, and I find if we address this early, if you're starting to have some trouble or reservations about how to get in and out to take a shower, instead of no longer showering because you're afraid to go into the shower because of risk of fall, let's look at some of these things to make it easier so you can enjoy if you like to take baths or if you'd like to take showers, whatever it is you prefer. Placing your towels, anything that you need near you so that when you're coming out, reaching out on when your feet are on a wet surface and you're reaching outside your comfort area and your center of gravity, it's more risk for a fall. Sometimes just a little command hook. If you don't have something, a command hook with a little thing right next to where the exit is to the shower, and you can hang your towel and it's right there all the time. Towel bars. Who uses a soap bar to transfer, to help them get up and down?
Either they're really really good or nobody wants to admit it?
Very good. None of you use it. That's great. They're not made for that. They are usually part of the insert of the plastic mold and are not bolted into the wall. The difference is when we have one installed, it's bolted into something to hold it. They now have the ability to go into some of the plastic molding, and there's something that'll actually give them stability now. So that's something that we can, if you're finding that how it's set up is not working for you and you need something to grab onto, we have options to look at. Replace bar soap with liquid soap in pumps. I'm going by this as, that's one way. It makes it easier because you don't drop the soap. But they also have bags that if you love your soap, you can put it in a bag and put it around your wrist. And then when you're doing other things, it doesn't fall. There's bath mitts that have the washcloth, and you can put the soap inside the washcloth with your hand and just lather up. So if you really like that, there's still ways to do it. Another way, that's just saying that you're less likely to drop the soap and have to reach over to pick it back up. Keeping your medication, home safety chip. Assure medications are clearly labeled. And that's another thing too, is if you're on medications that might be impacting your, making sure that they're clearly labeled so you're taking the right dosage and taking the right things so that you don't have more of a fall risk as well. Raising the height of the toilet, giving you grab bars, all different things to make it easier. Lighting, very important. All the areas, if you have the lighting to see better, then that's going to limit tripping on something, seeing something that's wet, those types of things to prevent. I always do this. If you're going to have go in there, it's nice to have a handheld shower. A lot of the times it's way too far up to reach, and most people don't want to do it because I can't get up there and I don't want to hang it back up. Does anybody have that in their shower? It's so hard to reach. Well, now on Amazon, I found that there's little suction cup handheld shower holders that you put on the side, and now you can keep it within reach and still lather up and just grab it and go and use it when you need to. So those are little things to make it better as well. Towel bars are not made for your weight. So I think we could probably say this 6 more times. Shower benches and tub transfer benches make it easier to get in and out and conserve your energy. So even say, I don't need to, I can stand and take a shower. But if you come out fully exhausted and it's difficult for you to walk back to wherever you're going, then that's more risk of a fall as well. So I say sometimes using this device to sit down in that hot area of a shower, it zaps a little bit of energy too, just because of the heat. And then you're standing for a period of time and doing that. If that wipes you out, sitting, you can wash your feet, everything safely, and then stand up for the parts that you want to reach around that you reach when you're standing, and then sit back down and take a rest. And even if you're not using it all the time, but sometimes you feel like you could use it, if it's there, you'll have it. So that's always a nice thing to have in there. We have all kinds of sizes available to order that fit in the small, the Wittenberg, the walk-in ones. There's ones that are 18 inches, they fit in there. So I have a lot of people that have gotten those and they work. All the way up to the walk-in ones like on Blue Ridge where there's no doors or anything. Oh, is that it? Oh, look at that. All right, so who's had a fall recently? Anybody? Okay. It happens, and so what we want to do is with the use of physical therapy and occupational therapy, we can definitely help you to identify what your risks are. Everybody's different. And as we told, there's so many different things that kind of play into falls. and from trying to get stronger with exercise through PT or adapting so that your home's more safe and you have ways to move around easier. We have a lot of different ideas and suggestions and recommendations that we can help you with. We are going to open this up now to screens, and what that means is you're welcome to come over. We have one test that we can do. If you want other ones, we can do them as well. But one of them is just sometimes looking at how far you reach outside your center of gravity. How many inches you go tells us how likely you are of a risk for falls. So anywhere from 0 to 6 inches, you're going to be a high risk for falls. 6 to 10 inches, you're going to be a moderate risk for fall. Am I doing this right? No. Okay. And then 10 or above, then you are going to be kind of normal, less risk for falls. So you want to, if it's less than 10 or 11 inches, then maybe there's something that you could work on. Okay? Any questions? One question. No? No? None? We were so good that we answered everything that you came here looking for. Okay, a question.
Do they make an edge protector for kitchen surfaces and forms? Rubberized edge protector or something that the most
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
egregious fall I had was really tore up my arm when I square edges of the kitchen.
On this, there are things, I have to say, as being a parent before, there's certain things that they have that kind of go around, but I could even say that I could probably devise something out of just even a foam padding around that could do that. So yes, if that's something of a problem, we can definitely work on that.
Anybody that's ever had their arm cut know how hard it is to heal.
Yes, yeah.
That they can even go around edges of tables and
Yes.
stuff as well.
Yeah.
What was the question?
The question was if there's anything available to be wrapped around the edges of a counter so that it was padded, so if you hit it, it didn't hurt your arm as much. And I said, there are some things. They make them for tabletops around, but there's also other ways that we could probably find some padding for it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
When I bought them for my toddler, I actually got it was like a big wheel, and it just kept on winding, and it had double-sided tape with it, and I also had corner pieces.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Who would I talk to about getting an evaluation for my bathroom and how I can best transfer to a bench in the shower?
I want to say we have over here some forms that if you would like, what happens is we need an order from your physician for physical therapy or occupational therapy to work with you. So what we have over here is a form that if you would like us, we could have the office call and request that from your physician. So I have a paper over here you can sign, and we can help you with that if you like. Otherwise, if you don't want that, it would be just calling your doctor and getting that, but we can take care of that if you want. Okay? Anybody else? Yes.
So if it's just a simple grab bar that you need, do we have to get a doctor or can we go through PT?
Yes, on campus here, if you're on campus, the policy is that we come and just look at what's needed. Sometimes we find too that we might find other things that might help complement that as well instead of just a grab bar, but to make sure that it's measured to a correct height, and then at that time we can ask maintenance. But they usually like to have us in there first to see what's going to work the best in that area. So yes, it usually comes from a therapy evaluation. Yes?
I would like to share how I was helped. I've been here 12 years. Probably 8 years I had knee surgery. I just want to tell what the therapist did to help me. I had knee surgery, and so I could no longer reach for the shower head. So she moved it down to the wall in the shower, and she gave me a chair to sit on. And it has been so helpful. And the one thing when you were talking, none of us in Wittenberg have a tub, and I don't know in the other locations where there are tubs. But that is more or less out for us.
Yeah.
And we're adjusting. But I was very much helped with that issue.
Oh. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Would anybody like to come over and have a screen to see how they're doing? Okay. You can come up, instead of standing in line too, you can just start coming over. Anybody who wants to come over, we'll go through and we'll do a test. Yeah? Yeah. The other thing too is if you don't want to do it here and don't want to go up there, and you're thinking, I just want to have a therapy evaluation to go through everything, you can always call us too. And there's pamphlets out in the office, or Christine behind you has some too with the office number. If you find that you can't remember or don't have that or misplace it, if you call here to the directory, just ask for outpatient therapy and they'll be able to get you to us too. Okay? There you go.
On your way out, we have home safety checklists that I would encourage you to take one and critique your home, or maybe even have somebody else look at it, because there's a lot of things that we don't see when we walk by it 30 times a day. But this checklist does give you a nice way of looking at your house and seeing if there are things that you can do to keep yourself safe, because all of our goal is to stay in our beautiful homes as long as possible and not need additional help. So that's our goal today. You are welcome to call us to the office for screens, or you're welcome to see us here today. And we thank you for your involvement all week long, and especially this afternoon with us. Thank you.